what I like about watching the Netflix shows was sort of, and I'm sure people get this with my shows as well. I've done like 14 shows over the last 20 years.
Wow.
And obviously you're in different places in your life. And what's very noticeable with your shows is like in one, you're going, I'm never getting married. I'm never having kids. I'm never having kids. I'm never going to die. So, it's sort of each show almost is an answer to the last one, as you do get married and do have kids. I really love, actually, my favorite one was My Girlfriend's Boyfriend. I think.
Thanks.
Because the ending is, I mean, I don't want to wreck it, but the ending is properly surprising because you're sort of thinking this will go one way, this has to go one way, but in almost every way. And it sort of goes differently than you might expect. I'll say that. And,
I appreciate it. I owe a huge credit for that ending to a collaboration I did with Ira Glass, the host and producer of This American Life. He and I were working on that specific story in his office for This American Life, and we sort of came upon it. And whenever I say that, he always disclaims it, but the truth is we came up with that together.
Yeah. But it's terrific, and I also like the title is so great because you sort of assume it means you.
Yes.
And it doesn't necessarily mean you.
Yes.
But it is. But what I think I like about because you're not. There are American comedians who I think, especially to a UK audience's ears, can sometimes be a bit abrasive and that sort of part of the. Hey, cancel culture! I hate cancel culture.
Yes.
But you're not that. But equally, you own up to your mistakes and you tell stories against yourself, and you tell stories that I think don't. There's a story about you visiting a prostitute in Amsterdam in one of the shows, which I think most comedians like you might not tell because it sort of a little bit goes against.
Not only would they not tell, but many people in my life told me not to tell.
But it's great. But it's great that you tell, because it's important to the show, and I know, and you can see that you're uncomfortable in doing it. But that's I think that both in that and in my Girlfriend's Boyfriend, it's sort of so open. But I don't know. I really love the message of it, of sort of the necessity not to be right anymore, and the change it is in you. So it's that's my favorite one. But
thank you so much. I think I like to walk around in my imperfections and sort of dig deep into them. And I've had trouble recently because they've all gone away, and I've fixed myself and. So I just have nothing to talk about anymore.
Well, it's a little bit the same for me. And weirdly, I think our current show, the show you're doing and the show I'm working on, are sort of very much in the same area by the sounds of it. I haven't seen The Old Man in the Pool, obviously, because it's not out yet, and I haven't had a chance to see it, but I hope I will. Well, I'm sort of in two minds because I'm working on a show about an illness I had. And it sounds like this is what your Old Man in the Pool is about. So I had testicular cancer 2 years ago.
Oh, no kidding! Wow.
Yeah. So there's a lot of crossovers because you talk about in your show about having the operation to have your have your
the varicocele. I had the varicocele repair, but also I had bladder cancer when I was 20.
Yes. Yeah. So it sounds like we're in a similar area. Not that that's necessarily a problem, but when you hear about something like that, it makes me think, oh, I really want to see this show, and it's coming to London. But as a comedian, do I want to come and see it in case, it's somehow it pollutes my show, or there's a crossover with my show, So that's a difficult thing. But tell us about this show anyway.
Well, this show is like you're saying. I start off the show at a doctor's appointment where I fail the pulmonary test. I think that you call it that as well. It's where you blow into a tube to test your lung capacity, and the doctor said, if I was just going by this result, what's on the screen, I would say you're having a heart attack right now. And I said, am I having a heart attack? Because if I thought I was, I would come here and I would tell you. And so she sent me to a cardiologist and a series of the show spirals into a series of doctor's appointments, which land me at the YMCA pool, which as I understand it, in the UK is the equivalent of kind of the leisure center.
Yeah.
which is one of the things. Basically, a pool that has way too much chlorine. There's a line in it where I say I don't know what the hell kind of heinous crime they're covering up at that YMCA pool, but I think something went down. Like there was a mob hit in the middle of the night. A bunch of goons were like, do we dig a ditch or do we bring the body down to the YMCA pool? I got a family membership. We use a guest pass for the corpse. We drop it in the pool. It disintegrates within 6 hours. It's a lot of chlorine. But I talk a lot about kind of getting healthy, swimming, doing all these things that I really never thought I would do in my life, that I swore when I was a kid, I'm never going back to the YMCA pool, and here I am. Yeah. So, of course, similar. There's a parallel, of course, to what you were saying earlier with the marriage. Yes. I'm never going to get married. I'm never going to have a child. I'm never going to go to the YMCA pool. And I find that that's definitely a recurring theme in my life. I'm never going to do blank is always followed by cut to blank.
Yeah. But I think that's part of the process that everyone goes through. I think that they're very relatable. I think these shows to most people.
Oh yeah,
even though a lot of the things are very specific to you, which
yes.
is always good. But yeah, I mean, I think it is interesting as a comedian who's worked. But we've both worked for a long time. We've both done a lot of shows, and yeah, if you reach a sense of balance and personal happiness, then you have to find stuff elsewhere. But it does feel like you do have like quite a lot of health issues. You look pretty healthy, but you have a lot of issues. So you've done a show and a routine about your sleepwalking, which nearly like killed you.
Yeah, that's correct. I jumped through a second-story window in my sleep, and I've lived to tell the tale, which is why it's funny. If I had died, it would have been a tragedy, but I lived, so it's a comedy.
I mean, it is, but as a comedian, I mean, I know when I've got the one point I did in the whole of the story of my testicular cancer that I didn't think, oh, great, I can do a show about this, is when I got the phone call that sort of, heavily implied I was having cancer and thought I might die. For a second, I didn't think this will be a great show, but all the way through the rest of it, I was thinking, but if you're coming up with that stuff, I mean, you're doing it in your sleep. If you're walking, you can't even be thinking this will be great for a show because you're not even awake.
True.
I was kind of, I was interested in so you went to save yourself when you go to bed, you're sort of in a sleeping bag wearing mittens.
Yeah, I zip myself up in a sleeping bag up to my neck, and then I wear mittens so I can't open the sleeping bag.
Yeah,
I take medication, which drives me nuts. I take like clonazepam, which I've been taking this medication for 15 years, and I only looked at the side effects like last week, and it was like depression, poor motor skills, and trying to think of what the other one was. And I was just like, oh, I thought that was just my personality. It's like that moment in your life where you realize that your personality is side effects.
Yeah. Is it? I wondered just because I was offered, I snore and I grind my teeth, and I was offered like a mouth guard, and I kind of thought, oh yeah, but I mean, that's at what point do you put that in? And it's not sexy if you're hoping to have sex with your partner.
Yes.
That's not sexy.
Yeah.
At what point do you put on the sleeping bag and the mittens? If because
if you're still, by the way, if you're still holding out for sexy, I'm gonna break some news to you.
Yeah.
No, there's some other factors. No, it's my director Seth and I always go back to there's an old saying, which is we're only as sick as our secrets. And I always think, like, if you're not telling secrets on stage, then you're not giving the audience what they need.
Sure. Okay.
That's how I view it. I don't know. I mean, I always enjoy it when I see a comedian say something where I know they're not so comfortable talking about it. The other thing that I find is I have an extraordinary amount of people come up to me and say, I struggle from this type of cancer. I've had this kind of sleepwalking disorder. I lost my dad, last year. The amount of people who relate to when you tell a personal story that you're uncomfortable telling, the amount of people who come up to you and relate to you in a parallel way versus a one-to-one way is so many that it actually makes the whole thing worth it. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you do feel like, I don't know about you, but I travel a lot. And sometimes with the amount of airplanes and rental cars and driving all over the place and, playing some gigs that are not as fun as others, sometimes you go, what's it worth, But you do encounter, I feel like if you open up to audiences, you do encounter people who really need it, and that's who it's for.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and exactly the routines that I've thought, oh, I can't do that, and that I've backed away from doing for fear, I guess, very much like very much like your prostitute experience. You kind of those are the ones that A, stick in the mind, and B, do absolutely go the best. I guess it's because of that, because the audience know you're putting yourself in an excruciating. I mean, a different comedian would tell that story, and it wouldn't be excruciating. They'd be going, "Hey, I went to Amsterdam and visited a prostitute,"
for sure.
And you were going, "You horrible man!" But you are excruciated and embarrassed by yourself, and it's a very important part of the show. So it's I mean, it's endlessly fascinating. Really,
thanks.